What's up guys, it's Squash. We're gonna go over this project file that I have for a beat that I haven't uploaded to YouTube yet. It's gonna be kind of like in that range of like 80 to 100 BPM, that tempo where traditionally like your clap is gonna be on the third beat of each bar instead of the second and fourth, so it's kind of like double time. So yeah, let's fucking go. The melody is gonna be from Nexus, and it's just like 4 notes that kind of repeat in different patterns. So open this, and it's the preset is just from a Metro Boomin pack. It's an ARP, but the notes are super short, so it's kind of just turned into a pluck. So basically the melody is the same every 4 bars. It just gets lowered 1 octave, so I'll play that. So that's basically the like main melody of the beat, really fucking simple. And then there's a few effects on there. There's 3 EQs. This one cuts out super high frequencies, so you don't really get that white noise. This one's kind of a filter that's turned off for most of the beat. And then this one just cuts out the low end so the 808 can sit properly. There's just a compressor to make it a little bit louder. This is Fruity Balance. This is kind of like a plugin that I use that comes with FL Studio that you can use to lower, raise the volume, just like basically volume automation instead of automating like the actual volume slider in the mixer or the volume on the like channel rack. Just use Fruity Balance, and then you can also pen if you want. And then there's also Camel Crusher. This plugin, I can't really like endorse it enough. It's super good. It has the British Clean preset, and the mix is down super low to like 20%, and that's it. And so I can play it with Camel Crusher on and off. So here's with it off. Kind of sounds a little bit weak. And then with it on, just gives it like more power, like it hits harder. So 100%, if you don't have that plugin, get it. It's so good. You can just like fuck around with it for distortion instead of using Fruity Fast Distortion or like Blood Overdrive. The second melody is a piano. Let's see. Down here, it basically just repeats over and over, like the same note. And it's basically just like background noise. And then there's like a couple notes in here to like transition between like the 1st and 5th bar and at the end. So I'll play that for you guys. So that's that. And then the last melody is just like the same thing as the piano, kinda, except it's an arpeggiator, and it kind of like builds up when it plays, so it doesn't really play anything at the start, and then it kind of like bounces back and forth between your ears. So I'll play that. It's kind of quiet. It just sits like in the background in the mix. So those are the only melodies in this beat. There's nothing else. So if we play them all at the same time, just solo these. And this is what all 3 of them sound like together. So they kind of fit pretty well. They're all mixed to have the lows, especially on the piano, cut out, because if you have low frequencies playing on a bunch of different sounds, even if it's not that much, it's gonna mess with your 808 sitting properly with all the other sounds. So if you have melodies, if you have claps, or even hi-hats that have like some amount of low end, brass sounds especially, you're gonna want to cut that out because it's just gonna not sound good when your 808's playing. For the ARP, same thing, just has lows cut out, and then boost the highs really high just so I could hear it better. It was kind of too quiet. Let's see, and then for the intro, the clap and snare like the same throughout the song. I wanted a clap that was kind of like big and fat, and all these drums are from my kit that I'll probably never release because I'm fucking lazy, but whatever. The boom and clap, just a fat clap. Again, Camel Crusher on that, really low mix, and the more beef preset. And then the snare, same thing, kind of like a fat snare. And it also has Camel Crusher with the more beef preset. I can kind of show you what that sounds like with and without it. So without it, makes it just louder and beefier basically. And the pattern stays the same throughout the entire song, so it just sounds like this. So every other clap, there's going to be a snare playing on top of it, and then just like that bounce snare. And then to give it even more bounce, we have the hi-hats and the open hats. So the open hats are actually really important. I feel like these are an underrated element that people don't use that well, or they just kind of like, they'll put them on like the second and fourth beat of every bar, just like tss, 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 like that, and like that can work for certain beats, but I feel like if you have a good open hat pattern that like rides into your clap or snare, it's gonna sound so much better. So this is what I'm talking about. I'll play the open hat with the snare and clap. So as you can see, the open hat, it plays here, and then I shifted it over by one beat, or by like one space on the grid, so it kind of like is like a little bit delayed for the second hit. And then with the crash, I have a Metro Boomin crash, and I lowered the pitch by 400 cents, so it sounds like this. Super low, and it plays after every 2 bars, so just like this. It just repeats over and over. And then for the closed hats, actually one of my friends who is also a producer named Comatose, he had this hat pattern on his computer that like this beat was kind of based on, so I recreated it and then edited it a little bit. It sounds really good. I added a bunch of rolls and like volume automation and whatnot, so I'll play that by itself. Kind of sounds a little bit weird by itself, but it fits with the rest of the beat. And then that just repeats. So it's not a very fast pattern when it's like the ticking, like the sprinkler, kind of is more spaced out. And those are the sounds of the beat other than the 808. There's going to be a brass shot that's kind of low. It's kind of like really heavily filtered out with the EQ. all the lows are cut out, and then a bunch of the highs, it's kind of like really low volume on those, so it doesn't have that like bright sound. And then we have a scream effect, which is basically just like, I recorded a sound of a bullet dropping, like when like hitting a metal floor, and then cut out the part where you hear like multiple bounces, so it kind of just has like the reverb and the original bounce cut out, and then I added a bunch of reverb after, so it sounds really weird, but I think it fits with certain beats like this. Just like a cool sound effect. And then in the beat, it's way lower octave, so it goes down here, kind of like a ghost like screaming or whatever. I don't know. But and then for the 808, it's kind of like the most important part of this track. It's not even really like a traditional 808 pattern that I would make. It's like kind of weird to make 808 patterns on this BPM because everybody is kind of on that like 140 to 160 wave. Really easy to make really good patterns on that BPM. So I kind of just messed around for a while on this, and this is what I came up with. There's a few slides and stuff like that. But yeah, I'll play the full pattern for you guys. So at the end there, kind of like a little creative 808 slide where it tries to go up and down really quickly and like gets sucked back down to the original note. And then with the kick, sounds much better even, in my opinion. And some of the kicks don't hit on the same positions as the 808, so it kind of like alternates. So I'll play that with the kick. So yep, sorry about that crackling. My fucking computer is super shitty, and like the CPU gets fucked when it's playing sometimes. So yeah, I think those are the only sounds in the beat. And then I have a new tag. As I said before, this producer Comatose that I'm friends with has a sister, and she recorded my tag. So I will play that. I put a fuck ton of effects on it and used 3D Picture. I'm not gonna spend the time editing it in Newtone. Just use the automatic picture and kind of make it not the fastest setting, because if you put it on super fast, it like sounds like auto-tune and it sounds fucking terrible. There's reverb, EQ, and then a vocodex on here. This is kind of what makes it so much better. I feel like this is an underrated plugin that people don't really use, especially for tags. And the reason why people don't use it is just they don't, either A, don't know it exists, or B, have no fucking clue what they're doing. So I have the power preset down here, and then with the envelope, I kind of edited out the lower frequencies, have it kind of like slope up on the highs, and then cut out the treble. And then in the mixer, it's at like 30%. And if you have it at 100%, it's probably going to sound kind of fucking whack. But with it at 30%, the like vocodex vocals are going to be like under the original sample, so it kind of is like a backing vocals. It's like a chorus effect, sort of. So I'll play that by itself.
Yo, Squash, why you dripping so hard?
And then I will play it without vocodex so you can hear the difference.
Yo, Squash, why you dripping so hard?
Still sounds okay, but with vocodex it's so much better.
Yo, Squash, why you dripping so hard?
So that's that. Fuck this stupid shit always resizes. So I'll play the full beat for you guys now, just so you can hear what it sounds like, and I'll probably upload the full beat to my YouTube eventually later. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Peace.
Yo, Squash, why you dripping so hard? Yo, Squash, why you dripping so hard?